Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're listening from. I'm so excited to have on the platform today my friend, my sister, and also a fellow Maxwell Leadership Certified Coach. She's showing up globally. She's adding value. She's an authentic lady, and she's really passionate about the topic tourism. So we're looking at leadership and tourism. This is the 77th podcast of Leadership Talk with Adegoke. How are you, my friend? Omu, how are you
Very
today?
well, thank you. I am very well, thank you.
Awesome, awesome. So who is Omu?
Hmm. Omu is the girl next door.
Hmm.
Well, I'm um I'm an engineering graduate. Surprisingly, everyone gets surprised. I'm an engineering graduate who worked for a while in a multinational oil company, and I my first contact with leadership in a formal way of learning was the Maxwell Leadership Team when it was founded in 2011. And I joined in 2011 as a founding member. And to be quite honest, I didn't join because I thought I was going to be a coach, a speaker, or a trainer. I joined because I just wanted to develop myself. And I felt
Awesome,
that I needed that personal development. So it's been a long journey that has seen me to where I am today. Prior to joining the John Maxwell team, I was running a luxury event planning company where I did mostly destinations. So I'm very big on tourism and very big on holidays as well. Um, Aside from the John Maxwell, which is now the Maxwell Leadership Team, pardon me. Aside from that, I've gone ahead to get several other certifications so that I'm able to provide a more well-rounded and holistic service to my clients.
awesome, awesome. Now tell us, how did you get into leadership?
Um, I would say that I got into leadership incidentally to lead myself. I for a very long time always felt that you can't give what you don't have. And
Mm,
I am naturally a very critical person. I'm one to criticize a lot. So I say to people that I'm always that person that comes in and I see the faults. I might not be able to solve the problem, but I'm always able to pick out the faults. And
mm,
I felt that for me to be doing that, then I should also arm myself with knowledge. You can't be criticizing, you can't be giving people advice from a point of ignorance.
yeah,
So I felt I needed to empower myself, which was why I went into I joined the team in the first place. And for several
okay,
years, all I did really was just soak it. I felt I was like a sponge. I was just soaking it in. I wasn't really using it per se. Yeah.
awesome, awesome. Now tell us, what do you think is your definition of leadership?
Of leadership. Leadership is for me about influence. And a lot of times people struggle with the word influence like a negative thing, but it's not. Leadership is about influencing the people around you um,
Okay,
positively, actually, positively. And that is why that's why everyone is a leader in their own right, because for everywhere that you find yourself, even if you're a taxi driver, for instance, or even if you're a menial worker, laborer, whatever, but you're working amongst people, your ability to influence those people actually makes you a leader. You have those people that even when you go to, let's say you go to an uncompleted building and you see workers working, if you take a good look, there's that one person that says something and every other person just follows. So that's what leadership is to me without speaking big English.
That's so good. That's so good. Now, what is tourism?
That's something I'm passionate about. So tourism basically is traveling to see places.
Mm,
And so there are different kinds of tourism. It could be for work, it could be for holiday, romantic, whatever, but it's just basically touring different places and exploring what each place has to offer.
mm,
Everywhere has their own characteristic traits. Everywhere in the world has their own characteristic trait. And of course, it's a huge source of revenue. I know of a lot of countries that is actually their major source of revenue.
wow. Wow. Now, what's the relationship between leadership and tourism?
So now in the tourism industry, it's almost
Okay.
impossible to operate without teamwork
Mm,
because of the nature of the industry. So when you talk of tourism, you think of hotels, you think of resorts, you think of um, event centers, you think of parks, different things. But basically, tourism is something that attracts people and it
mm,
attracts a lot of people. And there are people who are going to serve these people. And these people who are going to serve these people must possess certain skills. Also,
mm,
the people leading the ones going to serve these people must also possess certain skills. So,
mm.
a lot of times, in fact, I would say all the time, um, you can tell the strength of the leadership in the tourism sector when you get into any country and you're trying to explore.
Yeah. Mm, mm, mm. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So, are you okay?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Yeah. Now, I just want you to help us. What's the benefit of tourism apart from revenue? You know, is there any other benefit? Even for a leader, when a leader is trying to push the agenda, what's 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 the what's the
Okay.
benefit? Sorry.
So now, in terms of, we'll look at it from different points of view. Let's even call it a holiday. Everyone needs that break, which is something a lot of leaders don't do. They don't take that time out to really relax. And then you find people who tell you, "Oh, I've traveled to XYZ," but all they can tell you about that country is probably the hotel they stayed, and if they went for a meeting, the venue they went for the meeting, or the hotel they stayed and the shop they went to. Shopping it can
Mm,
also be part of tourism, don't get me wrong. However, you need the time out to relax, to recoup, and to rejuvenate yourself. Teams, I mean, it's getting more common now where people take their teams as well on tourism to for team building because you're away from your immediate environment. So you're able to relax and think, and you're also able to see each other in a different
mm,
non-structured way. So you're able to really understand the person. And
wow.
I'm sure you know as well that it's important to build relationships. So, in different
Right.
companies or in families or whatever, these are times, taking time out is a very good time for bonding and for
Okay.
building this relationship. Seeing me from 8 to 4 or 9 to 5 in the office is not enough to actually build these relationships.
Mm, mm, mm. It's so good. It's so good. Now, what's the challenge if a leader doesn't appreciate tourism?
Um, I don't want to be hard, but if a leader doesn't appreciate tourism, there's a tendency that that leader falls into the category of people that don't appreciate holiday or taking time out. And the downside would be some of these things that I mentioned. People will burn
mm,
out.
mm,
People will
mm,
burn out. I mean, just think of a time that you even shut down and you stayed
mm,
in your house, even just shutting down and relaxing. You come out feeling refreshed, less
mm,
cantankerous like me, you know.
mm,
So if you're a leader and your team is not doesn't have that time um to take time out, there's a tendency for them to burn out.
mm, mm, mm. That's I think that's really true because I mean, particularly nowadays, mental health, we're talking
Absolutely.
about this toxic bosses and you know, uh, sexual harassment in the workplace and all that. So many issues have just been coming up. You
Mhm.
Domestic violence. You know,
Mm.
there's
Yeah.
some people, even as leaders, they're in a state of overwhelm. So and when you don't let off, and take some time out to relax, the implications
Yeah.
can be huge. Can you speak to that?
Oh yeah. So one of my certifications is actually as a health coach, and I actually always encourage people, especially leaders. So we've talked about different kinds of leaders, but the sort of leaders that usually resonate with most people are top executives or people with huge responsibilities and all that. And daily, the statistics of people dropping dead from stress related ailments is constantly increasing. So when you don't take time out
Mm,
to rest and recalibrate, these things build up. And
mm,
you might think that, oh, you have a lot of money, you have 24-hour lights, so your air conditioner is on, you don't drive, you have a driver, or you have a very good car, or you have a private jet. But we forget that the stress from brain work is actually much more than physical stress sometimes. So you might be
mm,
sitting down in an office every day and everyone thinks, oh, he's not exerting himself, or oh, he really doesn't go anywhere. He just goes to work and comes back. But what you're thinking and the work your brain is doing is a lot more than that person who is carrying bricks outside.
mm.
So I
Wow.
mean, so this, and you just mentioned things like domestic violence and all that. Some of it, sometimes, I mean, not all the time. Sometimes, you have pent up tension, pent up
That's right.
anger. You start snapping and all that. So it's really important to take that break. And I tell people that nobody is saying you should go on $1 million holiday.
Mm,
For instance, I live in Lagos. There are million and one places you can go to that doesn't cost an arm and a leg. You
mm, mm. Awesome. Now, can you just tell us some locations where we can, maybe locally or even globally that you'd like to suggest to our listeners?
Okay, so I'm in Lagos. For instance, we have um, the beach on Corporation Drive. We have
Okay.
the Oniru beach that maybe is like 2K or 3K or something like that to enter. You have the one at Corporation Drive. What that's landmark.
Yeah.
You have a landmark. Those you don't even need a boat or anything. You can just drive down. There are millions of restaurants that you can go to. You have the Ilashe Beach. You have the Slave Trade Museum in Badagry, where you can just drive to, and there are a lot of hotels there. You can see the point of no return, which is just um, up by Badagry, just by the border between Nigeria and the Republic of Benin. Then, if you want to go outside Lagos, you have Obudu Cattle Ranch, you have Obunike Cave, you have places up north. I know some people will talk about security, but I
Mm,
mean, there's some people who live There's some people who live there, so it's down there, route. And then if you want to go out and you don't want to go far, there's Republic of Benin, which is just across from us. There are places there that you can go to. In Ghana, there are places it's funny because I say to people that even us in Nigeria, we seem to have so much money, but we don't take time out to really relax. But you go to some of these francophone countries in Africa, and it's not as if they have that much money, but their quality of life is higher. So you see someone who is just a taxi driver, and at 1 o'clock, you tell him you want to go somewhere, he will tell you he's on break. And he's taking a break. And it's not because he's very rich, but he appreciates the fact that his body needs to rest.
Wow. I mean, you're really adding so much value because, the average person just believes that, look, once I have a job, and, I have money in my pocket, I can watch TV at home, I can eat, as much as I can. But you're saying that even by moving around, and experiencing nature, interacting with other people is good for the mental health. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you're learning new cultures in the process.
But how about abroad? I mean, outside Nigeria?
Abroad, their turn. So, I mean, it now depends on what you like. Like, I like water. I like water a lot. So you would see me go to places in Mexico that have beaches, or you'd see me go to the south of France, or you'd see me go to places like Florence, or anywhere that I like water. There's some people who like adventure, who like animals and all that. You can go to South Africa because they have a fantastic game reserve. You can go to Kenya. In fact, Kenya actually has quite a lot. Kenya has the animals, Kenya has the beaches, that depends on you. Of course, everybody would like America. You can go to London if you're a history person, but even in the UK, outside of London, there are many cities outside of London that has water.
Brighton,
and has,
Cornwall.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's quiet.
How about in terms of affordability?
That's why I started with Lagos. So, no, and that's because I live in Lagos. And I appreciate, even me that I'm speaking, it's not every time that you can afford to travel. But if you're intentional about taking a break, wherever you live, there's always somewhere that you can take time off to just recoup your mind.
Now, for leaders, or someone who might be watching this, what are the 3 things that you can say will make a leader, be relatable by taking on tourism? What are 3 tips for any leader in the area of tourism?
I actually have loads. And so, how we have different types of leadership. I think that a leader in the tourism sector should be a servant leader. And obviously a hospitable one. But the 3, if I was to choose 3, so adaptability and innovation would be 1, especially with the times we're in now. You should be able to adapt to different changes that occur both in your industry and in the society where you live, and innovate, new things to come to help your business. Let's look at this COVID period.
Yeah.
You can see that quite a lot of hotels, and obviously the hotels were closed. So you might want to ask, how did they sustain it? Some were still paying their staff salaries, some had to let go of staff and all that. But
Mm.
they all came up with different things. They started doing, those that weren't doing delivery started doing delivery.
Mm.
Some would cook in your house, some now deliver breakfast, some now, you
Mm.
know, all sorts of things,
Okay.
came up. And I said to people that as bad as COVID was, I know I lost a lot of people. I don't wish that anything like that happens again. But it also
Mm.
gave birth a lot of business ideas. It gave birth to a lot of businesses. People that would
Mm.
tell you they would never go online went online.
Yes, right.
Um,
Even we
it's
are online now.
absolutely, So um, a leader, definitely, it's a quality every leader should have. But in the tourism sector, it is very important to be adaptable um, and have a lot of innovation. And then passion. A leader in that area, I think, needs to be extremely passionate. And
Mm.
why? The tourism sector is, in quotes, a lot of people still see as luxurious, not necessity.
That's right.
And then we also have to put into consideration that a lot of people that are coming, they are coming to have a nice time, or they're taking a break.
Mm.
So it might not be, a lot of times it might not be as financially rewarding as you would think it is, but it takes
Okay.
a lot of passion for you to thrive in that, no matter what. I mean, anytime I go to that slave trade museum in Badagry, I I see some people that have been there for a few years, and I know it's not because the salary is fantastic or anything like that, but you can actually see the excitement and the passion with which they tell you about the things in there. So I expect a leader in the tourism sector to be extremely passionate about tourism, extremely
Mm.
passionate. It's the passion that would make you discover some fallow beach and want to turn it
Wow.
into something magnificent for people to come. So yes, passion
Okay.
a very good is a key rule. And then empathy.
Mm.
Empathy for your staff, for your guests, because you're going to meet all sorts of people. If you speak with people in the tourism sector, especially the hotels and those
Mm.
resorts, sometimes they'll tell you that, listen, that sometimes they serve as shrinks, because you have some people who come and they're just looking for somebody to download all their burden on without having to have that personal attachment. So you have
That's
to be
right.
empathic and really ready to, listen and all that. But there are loads of others.
Awesome. Awesome. Done very well. If you just join us, this is Leadership Talk with Adegoke, the 77th episode, and we're looking at leadership and tourism. And we have Omu Obilo, and she's adding so much value. She's a John Maxwell certified leadership coach, and she's a tourism enthusiast. Thank you so much for adding value.
Thank
Now, I have two
you.
more
Thank
questions. Who are your mentors?
you. I have several. I have several. John Maxwell being one of them.
Okay.
And Ivan Meissner, who is the founder of BNI, is a huge mentor of mine. I mean, he's impacted my life in many, 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 many ways. I came this far with a lot of his words and his help. And then Paul Martinelli is also my mentor.
Awesome. Now, if our listeners want to reach out to you, how can they connect with you?
I'm on Facebook as Omobilo. I'm on LinkedIn as Omobilo. I'm active on LinkedIn as Omobilo. And I'm on Instagram as thrive with Omu.
Wow, wow, awesome, awesome. So you've heard it from the lady, the tourism enthusiast. She's added so much value on Leadership Talk with Adegoke, the 77th episode, and we're so grateful and thankful for you and also the opportunity to share on this platform. So, at the same time, I want to say thank you everyone for joining and tuning in. You want to say bye bye to our audience?
Bye bye. Have a lovely week and let me know about the next holiday you go.
Thanks.